Hello, good afternoon or good evening, everybody. My name is Sebastian Castro, and this is the final project for CAP 6776. And today I will be talking about the Amazon Comprehend tool, also sponsored by Amazon. So before I actually dive into the tool and do the demo, I would like to take a few minutes to go over what Amazon Comprehend does, what it is, specific use cases in the industry that would be important to bring up, and an example of an analysis that the tool performs on a piece of text that you provide in the form of a text file. So what is Amazon Comprehend? Firstly, it is a natural language processing service that uses machine learning to find hidden connections in texts by extracting topics, keywords, and finds the most relevant details from a collection of documents. So Amazon Comprehend is simple to use, requires no machine learning experience, and is smart enough to protect personally identifiable information, also known as PII in capital letters, in medical records. And we can recover important details from text as mentioned previously. Now moving on to common use cases, some of them include grouping a collection of documents by topics and keywords, extracting information from financial documents, such as car leasing contracts and insurance claims. We can also automate the extraction of insights from legal documents. And it is extremely helpful in the customer service department because the output of the analysis is easy to comprehend and we can easily find out if our customers' feedback is positive, negative, or neutral. So here are some sources that I used for the tool and for this PowerPoint. Some of them are from YouTube videos and the others come from the official documentation from Amazon Comprehend. And lastly, before I move on to the demo, I would also like to show an example of analysis that Comprehend would do. So let's just say you're given this piece of example text. The tool would be able to tell you named entities, such as a location, a specific time, a date, proper pronouns. You could also look into key phrases, the language, which in this case is English, and the sentiment, which tells you if the input text gives a rather positive vibe or is negative in nature, or it could be neutral as well. There's many possibilities here. So now we can dive into the demo, and I will go into the Amazon Web Services console and work with some text files and do a sentiment analysis, and then I can show off us putting some text in an S3 bucket and then using Amazon Comprehend's analysis job function to take in those pieces of text and analyze them and get proper outputs. And let's move on to the tool of the demo. Alrighty, so before I go into the demo for the tool, I just really quickly want to show off the type of text that I'm going to be working with. So I have this examples.txt file, and we have a couple of different reviews that I would like to analyze. The ones that I will be analyzing for the quick real-time analysis, where I provide the piece of text and see the analysis, would be this review. Going over a monitor, the review is quite mixed. It's positive, then negative, and then positive again. So we're going to have to see what the analysis tool does when it sees this specific scenario. And the other review that I'd like looking at is this other review, which is also quite long but clearly negative. The other reviews also work, but I think it would be better to focus on some larger reviews to see what the response from the API will be from Amazon Comprehend. But I'll dive into that in the demo for this tool, which is happening right now. Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Sebastian, and now we will be doing the demo for the Amazon Comprehend tool. So as you see here, I currently am in the Amazon Comprehend console, and I've also shown the Amazon S3 console, and I'll talk about what these two buckets are all about once I get to that part. So here you have a couple of tabs. So something that is important to remember from a technical standpoint is that Amazon Comprehend is really just a group of APIs. And those APIs can be found over here. So you have different APIs for language, one for sentiment, one for the entities, the key phrases that it finds, sentiment analysis, syntax, basically the parts of speech found in every sentence, as in this example over here. And so the API response is very simple. In this case, it is in the UI, neatly organized in a table called results. But normally it's in JSON format, and it's very simple to follow. So the UI console definitely does a good job with the visuals. So it's really easy to interpret the response from all these insights. And so as mentioned before, you don't need machine learning experience, which makes the tool very easy to use, whether you're on the product or business side, or whether you are a developer or an engineer. So what I want to go over, and by the way, the endpoints is how you can also customize the API for Amazon Comprehend. You could provide your own machine learning algorithm, neural network, and whatever you decide to use here. But for the demo, and for the sake of time, we should definitely go over the real-time analysis and the analysis jobs. So for the real-time analysis, what you're going to be doing is providing the console a piece of text, which is what you see over here. And so the input text is provided here. So as you can see, it's somewhat long, and also there's about 1,000 characters. There's a limit of 100,000. Then it starts to cost you, but I did get the free tier for AWS, and I'm not going to be providing very long pieces of text, so I'm not too concerned about that. So let's dive into the input text. This is just a customer review talking about a monitor. Does not seem very happy with the monitor. Talks about another monitor with no flickering, and a bit of mixed emotions here. Happy, then sad, and the opposite. And then here they end off on a positive note, even though here they start off on a really negative note. But anyways, that's not the point. So here's the input text, and we're just going to press analyze. And when we press analyze, we get the results of the API. So here in the results, it'll look for different entities, and we see, okay, first 2 days, that's a quantity. The first is a quantity. 15 minutes is also a quantity. Unit of time, every 20 seconds is a quantity. 4 components. And on the right side, it tells you with how much confidence does it know that the entity is a quantity. 98%, 15 minutes, definitely confident that's a quantity. Here, 4K, it could be a quantity, but it's also next to a letter, which makes it seem like it's not a quantity. So it's not sure how to classify it, so it says it's other, but with a somewhat low degree of confidence. Dell is an organization, and it is definitely confident with that. So that's how the results work. You could also look at other pieces of the analysis. For example, language definitely knows its confidence. Definitely is confident that it's English, 99%. You could also do a sentiment analysis, And here, as you can see, it's a bit mixed. So that's normal. That's supposed to happen because here the person starts off on a very negative note, talking about how it's flickering, but then says it's awesome, and then starts flickering. And then here he says he's happy, then he's super happy, but the message isn't that clear. So it's a pretty mixed sentiment, which is why it's only at 75%. However, it does detect some negativity and a bit of positivity, and also the syntax. So it recognizes that every single word, letter is some part of speech. In this case, it's a pronoun, it's a verb, and it tells you the amount of confidence it has that each letter, each word, each phrase is a specific part of speech, each word. So now we can move on to the last bit of the demo, which is the analysis jobs. So the analysis jobs is where Amazon S3 bucket comes in. So basically with analysis jobs, instead of providing the piece of text in real time and getting a quick 2-minute, 1 to 2 minutes API response, what you could do is you could actually provide several text files with text that you want to have analyzed. You could put all of it in an Amazon S3 bucket, which is actually seen here. I call it a demo cap 6776, and here you have the two pieces of text, and the two pieces of text that are actually inside are the two pieces of text that we actually analyzed not too long ago. So here's the buckets, and what we could do now is we could go back and I could show you the output. So here in the output, the Amazon Comprehend tool will take in all the text files they want analyzed inside of this bucket, and it'll turn that into a job. And this is that job. And I just call it demo gap 6776 for the sake of simplicity. What type of analysis they want to do? Sentiment. And here it'll take a while. It might take a few minutes depending on how many text files you have, but it will tell you whether it has completed the job, whether it's still in progress and such. But moving on from that, so that's for the input, and if you want to see the output, what you need to do is actually provide an output bucket. And in a specific folder, which it'll call output by default, it'll actually tell you what the output of the API was. So in this case, we want to perform some sentiment analysis. As you can see here, it took 6 just minutes, and it is complete. So to create the job, you give it a name and you give it the analysis type that you like. You could also provide your own custom classification, which is definitely an important use case. If you're a developer, you want to provide maybe your own algorithm for the classification, and maybe you want to provide a built-in type they want analyzed, and that's something you can expand upon. So after doing that, I can just do a quick example here for sentiment. You pick the language and you provide the bucket, the URL of the bucket for your input data. And you also need to provide the bucket for your output data. So here, after you do that, you would also need to use or create an IAM role for security reasons. I already have one. This is for a little demo they did maybe yesterday, just to confirm everything works. And then you would create the job, and then it'll go into the specific bucket, which in this case is demo cap 6776. Go through all the text, read it, provide a response, an API response in JSON format. And that is how the Amazon tool works. And I can definitely show that output as well if needed. So let's see if I can find that output, and that'll be the last part of the video. So lastly, what I want to show off, as I had mentioned a second ago, was the output of the API when using the tool for Amazon Comprehend, when we're using the analysis job. In my scenario, as I showed before, I wanted to do a little sentiment analysis on two pieces of text. Those two pieces of text are actually what I showed in the previous notepad, the examples.txt file. So in this scenario, as you see here, the API response comes in JSON format, making it really simple to read. And it also talks about the file that it used, the sentiment and sentiment score, which is the degree of confidence it has that the specific line was mixed or negative or neutral or positive in a percentage, well, in decimal form to be exact. And as you can see here, it gives you a line-by-line sentiment analysis. And it gives you the overall sentiment of that specific line. In this case, it was negative. That's because it is pretty much completely negative, while here on the top, it is completely mixed. So you have a little bit of neutral, a little bit negative. Here in line 3, 4, and 5, it is mixed and positive. And as you can see here, this is the other text file that we also provided in our input bucket. So the second file has 2 lines. The first line is relatively neutral, while the second line is mainly positive, which means that that specific customer has provided some positive feedback for our product. So as mentioned before, this tool would be definitely useful for customer service because sometimes you might want to get input from thousands and thousands of customers, and Amazon Comprehend could easily analyze all those pieces of text with no problem, and you could even group which reviews are positive, which reviews are negative, and which reviews are mixed or neutral. So those use cases would make Amazon Comprehend a powerhouse. And so that concludes my presentation in regards to Amazon Comprehend. So thank you very much for listening, and if there's anything else that you need to see for the demo, do not hesitate to reach out and I can gladly show you some more. Thank you very much. Bye.